Hello and welcome to the 179th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined to you by our other host, Jordan.
That's me, baby.
That's him. Jordan, we're shooting from an undisclosed location today.
Looking kind of rank and
We're
stank.
looking pretty bad. I'm a bit stinky.
Yeah, I can concur. We are both stinky.
You actually can't see it because of the camera trick we did, but there's actually green stink lines coming off of both of us.
Yes, it's like The Sims.
But Jordan,
Yeah.
you gotta remind the people where they can find this thing, even if it's in an undisclosed location.
Yeah. You can't find us where we are now because I'm not going to tell you, but you can find this thing on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed, all linked below. It's also YouTube and Spotify that have the video portion where you can see us, see those stink lines that we masked and post. And as always, contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, death threats, and most importantly, Little Kitty Bid City stuff, photo mode, things like that. And Instagram, TikTok. We'll get there someday. This holding the mic thing is weird.
Yeah. Jordan, thank you for going through this video frame by frame and editing out the stink lines.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
By the time you see this, I'll be like 85. So we said 179. This is probably like 179,000.
This is actually episode 42,862.
Yeah.
Because Jordan was editing out the stink lines.
And it's still a terrible episode like every other one we release, so.
I figured by 42,800 and whatever I said, we would probably be a lot better.
You would hope.
I would hope, but unfortunately, I think no one disappoints me quite like us.
Yes. So I just want to say, Chris and I are in this undisclosed location because we're working on a little project.
We're shooting something.
When
we talk about, we'll do a debrief of the trip. We'll do the debrief of our project later on.
Yeah.
And then I'll disclose some details. This will be after the thing's released.
Yeah.
And I'll show maybe some pictures I took, because I took some really nice pictures.
Yeah. That will be the whole thing. But I want to just say cheers to Chris and I for a potentially complete project for once. And I also got to say, you have no idea how hard it is to get corona in this part of the world.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the exact
specifics.
Oh my god, I am having heat stroke. I don't want to talk about the exact specificities of where we're at, because it might give up the game a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But we are in a place where you only can purchase, not only, but a lot of the purchasing of beer specifically is done at drive-through establishments.
Which is totally foreign to both of us, by the way.
Which is like a complete fucking like departure from anything I've ever seen in my life, actually, for real.
Yeah.
The closest I've seen is in legal states you can see drive-through dispensaries. They have signs for them on the highway.
I think I have heard those, yeah.
But in liquor stores, we don't really have.
Yeah.
So this is completely new concept to both of us.
Yep.
All three of us. Lexi's here too. You just can't see her.
She's off frame. She might pop in to say hi.
No, she's dead asleep. She's dead right now, actually.
No, she's not. She's reading a book.
She's dead. We killed her.
She's reading a book. No, we didn't do that.
No, she is reading. Can
you
yell something to confirm you're not dead?
Hello.
That was a sound bite. That was Alex in the corner hitting a button.
Alex has a tape recorder.
Yeah. Oh my god. So, to the topic at hand, Chris, I just want to put a little placement in time for them to get the full story.
Okay.
So we departed somewhere that I wanted to go, that I recommended, that Chris was a little interested in as well.
I was
as Lexi.
vaguely interested, but it would ended up being pretty fire, actually.
Yeah, we went to a retro video game store. I've talked about it for numerous episodes now, how I've been getting into retro game collecting. So I convinced Chris to come, and we went to a retro game store. Didn't end up actually buying anything. There was a couple things. If you're a fellow collector, they had Quan PS2 for $1,000, the rarest PS2 game.
Damn.
That's besides the point. We were leaving this place, and we were like, man, beer would go real good with the podcast, because we wanted Corona last night.
Yeah, because last night we made an attempt at this undisclosed establishment in which we are at.
It's a hotel.
It's a hotel. And we tried to get a Corona at the hotel restaurant last night because we got in pretty late.
Yeah, we both asked.
And I didn't have it, so I ended up having two $16 old fashions.
I had an $8 Budweiser that tasted about as good as piss.
Nice.
Budweiser not good. Do not recommend.
A limeless Corona is like the best we could get around here. But to that same end, we couldn't find Corona.
Yep.
There's no Corona, and like we've been to several establishments since, and I've specifically looked for Corona.
Yeah.
Can't find it.
Yeah. So don't disclose the gas station because I think it's pretty specific to this area too.
Yes. So we stopped at a gas station because we were thinking maybe they have beer, because before that we walked past near this retro game store. We walked past a liquor store. And I was like, oh, I'll pop in. I'll grab the Coronas, and maybe I'll shop around, look, get something for me, and I'll just walk back out. Because we didn't want to go through the whole kerfuffle of like, all right, now everyone gets ID'd, which they didn't ID me at all, by the way.
Yeah, I figured if all three of us did though, they probably would have. So we just went to the car. Let's see.
So I went in. I'm looking around. I'm like, there's High Noons, and
which
then
are
there's
okay.
just beer. There's just liquor and wine, no beer really at all. I'm like, fuck. So we go to a gas station because maybe they have beer there. And we're trying to scope out the scene, see if they had, like, a beer cave. A lot of them will have, like, the place where you can walk in the back and get beer.
Yeah.
Nah. So.
We turned one corner, and it was just, like, tea, water, ice.
Yeah. So, like, we walked in, and, like, I walked in behind Jordan. Jordan goes around the shelf and goes, nah. And we both walked out the door.
Yeah.
But next door, we saw something.
Chris saw. I'll give him credit for this.
I got the eyes for it,
The liquor eyes.
Don't do that to my eyes. I saw it. I saw a sign that said something beer. And I was like, oh, there it is!
Yeah.
So we went to this place, and we walk up to it, like the front of it, the side that's facing the street, and we're like,
Use side door.
Use side door?
Okay,
whatever. Not that big of a deal.
Done that before.
I'm familiar. So we walk around this building, and there's like a side door that looks like a door to a house.
Yeah.
It's like, this probably isn't it. And then there's like a garage door.
And it says drive-through.
It says drive-through. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So we like try to go in that side door, the one that looks like a house door, and the guy in the garage door starts yelling at us in Spanish.
To come back.
Yeah, he was like, hey. This is the door.
But in Spanish.
I assume. I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But it was something to that effect. He like gestured, so I was like, all right, I get the idea.
Yeah.
And so we walk in, and we walk into like what looks like the back room. It looks like a mechanic shop, honestly.
Yeah, but instead of like lifts and tools, it's beer.
It's just beer in there, like big, like piles and piles of beer. And there's cars pulling in, and we're like, this is the drive-through portion. Where do we go if we're on foot?
So then I try to step out to cross over the drive-through, and a car's just there. I'm like on top of this car.
We had to like cut, and we're just standing there like fucking morons, and we just completely bug-eyed because I'm so beyond confused at this point. And I think Jordan is too.
We're in the employee section.
Like, very obviously an employees only section. So we cut around, like behind where there were like employees just sitting there. No one stopped us, by the way.
I was gonna say they all saw us. No one cared. Even the guy who gestured us was like, yeah,
no one gave a shit. The two like weird tourists walking through this place.
Yeah. Two weird young tourists, by the way.
Yeah. Like, so we sneak around past the employees, and we get to we see a door that leads to what we saw from the outside, like the actual store part of it. So, like, oh, here it is.
Makes
so
sense.
we walk back through here. I figured like maybe they're doing maintenance on the front entrance, so they just have everyone come through this back entrance. It's like, all right, whatever. A little weird, but whatever. And I walk in, and we find the 6-pack of Corona.
Yeah. We
grab it, and it was $12, by the way. I'm pretty sure I bought an 18-pack for my birthday, and it only ended up being like $18. So.
And more importantly, one more chicanerous thing happened with it being $12.
Yeah, so it was $12. I grabbed it. We got in line behind a car.
We're walking behind the trunk of this car.
We got in line walking behind a car, and We walk up to the window. Guy IDs us. Fair. But there's a sign. There's the little Post-it note next to the cashier that says $15 minimum for debit. And I hand him that, and he goes, "Oh, it's $12." He says, $12. And I go, "Oh, I see your sign. It says $15 minimum for debit." And he just, like, holds up his hand. He just, like, holds up his hand.
He goes, "Okay, buddy."
And
okay.
he punches in $12. He charged me $12. Because I checked afterwards. Like, maybe he just charged me $15 for
Maybe
it.
he just said, "Fuck these guys. Get them out of my store." Like,
and he charged us, and I looked, he charged me $12 even.
So I don't know where the 15 minimum came from.
I don't know. Like,
I don't know. He just wanted us out of there. He said, "Don't let them back there again."
And we get back because Lexi was waiting in the car for us, and we get back and we're like, "You're not gonna fucking believe this."
This is the
strangest experience I've ever had in my life.
It is literally the first time we've done something that I actually would have loved if we had on camera, because we're not big fans of just filming random things and random people doing about their day.
No, we're not.
This is one time where I wish we did, because we can't hyperbolize how insane this experience was.
And just how purely confused we both were.
And I think, in reflection, right, in retrospective, Chris, when you're not flustered in the moment, I think I know what we were supposed to do. I think we were supposed to tell one of those workers, "Six-pack Corona, if you got it." And then they were going to go fetch it for us, because they were fetching things for the cars, obviously, for the drive-thru. I think that's what he anticipated, but we just went and got it. It was the weirdest thing.
You might be right.
Like, that's all I can think of. That's the only thing I can think he was saying was like, "Hey, go around to the drive-thru and walk through and be like, 6-pack Corona." And then they'll bring it to you. Because the employees walked past us numerous times to go get stuff for the car. Like, at one point, we walked out from one of their, like, stacks of beer cases. I want to say shelves, but it wasn't. It was literally just cases of beer. I, like, went to step out, and a guy came by with, like, a 24-pack of something. He walked right by me.
You might be right. Like,
Retrospective is a crazy thing when you're not flustered as shit in the moment.
This is one, culture shock. Two, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory or rude way, because it happens. I don't think any of the employees there really spoke a lot of great English.
Yeah, no one could tell us what to do.
Personally,
I
couldn't really care less about.
Do they need to at the end of the day? No.
Not really. Like, we got what we wanted.
It just was stressful.
It was a slightly stressful situation.
My fear was just like, I'm not worried anything's going to happen, but I'm just kind of like, man, this guy's going to be like, "You fucking idiots." Like, I was waiting for him to start calling us all the slurs.
See, this is the thing this is why when we got back, this is how I rationalize things like this, because I consistently go through situations that I, due to my own incompetence, make way more awkward than they have to be.
Yeah.
And so I just think about, like, well, especially if it's like a person at like a cashier or something, I like make it weird, because I'm completely socially inept. I don't know if you can tell. I just go, probably never going to see that person again.
Yeah, he's not lying. That's the first thing he said to me when I said, like, I feel bad for that guy. We're idiots.
I was like,
he sees it.
We're never going to see that guy again. We gave him a story to tell.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta take it on the chin. You gotta look like the idiot.
Yeah. It happens. I mean, that's not the first time we looked like an idiot, Chris. We did have a small encounter between the two of us in the elevator, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You remember what happened in the elevator? we were just poking and prodding.
Yeah. In the elevator, there's this particular hotel we're at. The elevator has a front and a rear exit.
Yeah. And
I thought Jordan had hypothesized yesterday when we got in. He said, like, maybe rear will bring us closer to our room, because our room's, like, kind of close, far away from the elevator.
Yeah, you, like, wrap around a corner, so I'm like, oh, we're halfway through that corner already.
Yeah, so
the rear.
Jordan and I, we ran back to the car to grab the podcast stuff, and we're coming back, and we're like, I go, let's try the rear exit. And you have to scan your hotel key card to use the elevator. So you scan the card, and we're both hitting 9R.
There's two sets of buttons, one on each door.
Yeah, we're both hitting the rear button on either side of the elevator. We're like, are we canceling each other out? And eventually the elevator starts moving, so we're like, oh, it just doesn't stay lit.
Yeah. All the other ones do, but we just hypothesized it's because it's rear.
And then it takes us to the wrong floor. And we're like,
to 10.
Oh, that's weird. That's strange. And then the person from floor 10 gets on. A couple people get on, and Jordan goes, Chris, it says the rear exits are for maintenance access. And I
in the middle of this elevator.
The air in the elevator changed. I was like, oh, that would have been a good thing to note beforehand.
My favorite part of this is all these people in the elevator. There's probably like 5 of us at this point, 3 people in addition to us. And Chris just goes, once again, foiled by my own inability to read. And I'm just chuckling in the corner. No one knows what's going on.
Yeah, I got to get better at reading. My reading is pretty bad. Not insofar that I can't read, like I have the ability to.
Yeah.
The thing is, I do my best to not read.
Yes.
And that fucks me more often than not.
I'm a doer, not a reader. Like, I don't read instructions. Yeah,
exactly.
I just start assembling or whatever.
Right.
And then when I get stuck, I read the instructions.
And then, yeah. And that's how I accidentally assembled a Lego set into a working firearm one time, actually. That's a lie. That's not true at all.
That'd be crazy, though.
I built a Supra out of Legos, because that's what the kit was. I followed the instructions, actually.
Yeah. No shot without the instructions. No shot. Legos are insane for that reason. But, yeah, we're here. We're making moves. It's been a good time. We had a little bit of a food debacle. That was a thing.
Yeah, we were trying to get lunch today, and it was just like, because I'm of the mind that, like, we are in a different place. I want to get something, like, local.
Many, many hours away from us, like, farther than we would normally go.
I was like, I want to get something local, and we find a bunch of good, like, local spots on the map. We're like, okay.
And they're weirdly all clustered together.
Yeah, they're, like, all clustered together, and they're all located in this one, like, marketplace area. And we're like, okay, we'll just jump in here.
Yeah.
And my God, there was packed like sardines would be an understatement for what this fucking place was.
Yeah.
I already don't like crowds to begin with, especially when I'm in like sort of like unknown area where I'm like, something, I don't get claustrophobic necessarily. It's just like I get pissed off. There's always someone in my fucking way.
Yeah.
And I'm like always tapping my pockets because I'm thinking maybe, someone might lift. It's very easy in a crowd like that to have someone lift something from you.
And then you don't know who the fuck did it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem. You'll know they lifted it, but you're like, who did it? There's 40 people behind me.
And in our process of getting out of there, we were slinking through a crowd. And Jordan went in front of me, and I like almost fully body checked the guy.
Yeah.
There's a guy that was walking, and I spun to like get, around him. I spun back like too quickly, and to avoid someone else, and I like just went bah on my shoulder.
Just fucking creamed this dude. Just fucking floored him.
We ended up getting Shake Shack.
Yeah, so it was really funny because Chris wanted to avoid, and me too, I was on his side as well, wanted to avoid like fast food, but let's just eat at very certain times for different reasons. So she was like, fuck it, I'm going fast food. So we hit Panda Express, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, food looks kind of good, but we're trying to hit local. This is before the big crowded area.
Yeah, we're trying to hit local, and I didn't anticipate, like, even if we didn't go to the place I originally scoped out, like, I didn't think I was going to be walking around with my limp dick in my hand for an hour.
Yeah, so, yeah, it took about an hour to lap the place a few times, trying to find the one thing we wanted, being unsuccessful.
If it wasn't busy, if there was, like, a third of the people there, like, I would say it would be, like, a crazy, like, nice, awesome place to go.
It would be sick. Yeah, it'd be fucking cool. They had, like, a whole bar built into this market. Yeah. It was sick. But, then we loop back, and I'm looking at the map. I'm like, Chris, there just ain't much around here. And finally, I, like, go down a little south of where we are, and I'm like, hey, there's a Shake Shack. And he's like, yeah, I've never had that. Fuck it. We'll count that as local. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, fuck it. I was like, I need food in me.
This was, like, by the way, like, 2 o'clock, and Chris had eaten a piece of bread this morning and a Slim Jim knockoff.
Yeah, we went to the store for breakfast.
I got a double egg.
And Jordan got some weird egg thing. And we went to a Trader Joe's for breakfast. And Jordan got some weird egg thing. And I found this piece of bread, this loaf of bread, that looked fantastic. I was like, I'll eat this. So I ate, I just sat there peeling pieces of bread off.
All morning.
Just eating pieces of bread. And I had a little Slim Jim with it.
He's just eating bread, like literally slice it, like
Beef.
pieces of bread.
I wasn't slicing it either. I was just peeling it off.
No, we don't have knives around here. What are you, crazy? We
Uh,
didn't have plates. I had to cook my egg thing directly on the microwave platter, and I made a fucking mess.
yeah, and you scraped all that cheese down the bathroom sink.
Yeah, I should have went in the toilet
Ew, dude.
because it went down the bathroom sink, and a lot of it got stuck. But I was able to flush a lot of it too. So
I was just munching on this bread, and that's all I had eaten. I had bread, and I had some pink lemonade and some water,
yeah, and and that was
and a
at
beef stick.
that was
which-
at what, like 8:30 in the
The
morning.
beef stick was fantastic, though.
It was. It,
was
didn't have a
really
lot of
good.
jalapeno to it though. It was a jalapeno beef stick.
It's a jalapeno thing, which I was kind of apprehensive about
Me
because
too.
I don't really like jalapeno as a flavor, honestly. I don't mind the spice, but like I just don't like the flavor. And I was eating it. I didn't taste any jalapeno really at all, and it wasn't spicy.
Yeah, it wasn't spicy. It had like a tiny look at that.
It had like a
What's
This
fun?
is definitely beef in a stick shape.
So I think the best part of the breakfast thing was, so I make this fucking egg thing on the microwave, and then I still need to hold it, but it's really hot. So I ripped off a piece of the paper bag from Trader Joe's, and I just ate it in that like a wrap. Like, I was like, fuck it. I just used that as like handles. It's kind of not my proudest moment, to be honest, between that and the cheese down the sink.
Not a lot of proud moments were had today.
No, but we got some cool stuff coming up tonight, though. We're actually gonna hit up an arcade. Won't disclose which one. Not that it's local, but just because.
You know, perchance we will hit a little arcade.
Yeah, should be cool.
I did buy in that liquor store. I bought a bottle of whiskey that I thought was funny.
Yeah, you should grab it.
Okay, I can go get it.
Yeah.
I can go. I'm gonna have to hurl myself off this couch.
Yeah, this is a deep-seated couch, man.
I'm gonna have to.
I bet you that'll reach.
Yeah, I could probably bring it with me.
Let's see. Still good. Yeah, it reaches. He walked all the way to the other end of the room with that.
I bought this because I thought it was funny. It's just called Dead Guy Whiskey.
I can hold
And
it
there's
up.
a little dead guy on there.
Look at him.
There's a little dead guy on there, a little dead boy.
Little Deadpool-looking guy. Nah, he ain't Deadpool. He's just dead. Yeah,
dead
apparently
guy.
they only make one because that's the guy and he's dead.
He's dead.
He's chilling though. Look at that frothy-ass mug he has.
Yeah,
Mug of beer.
He's kind of, he's kind of chilling. This is American single malt whiskey, aged at least 2 years.
That's kind of crazy.
Ocean aged in Newport, Oregon.
Huh. Interesting.
And this little dude on top is metal.
Yeah. Yeah, and how much did that run you again?
This was like $55 or something.
That ain't that bad. What's the thing on the back? Is it the dead guy? Yeah, it is.
It's the dead
It's
guy.
etched. Look at that.
They etched the dead guy into the dead guy.
Yeah. So maybe we'll try that. I don't know.
It's a neat little thing.
I don't really have anything to drink out of though.
Oh,
Yeah, we do.
We got little cups. We might have like a little nip of it. It's early yet, so I don't want to drink.
Well, I
but,
was thinking after our big outing, we can maybe just do one on camera. I'll push it in. Editing. Power of editing.
perchance we could do that.
We'll see. Or we'll just review how it is. But, yeah. I don't know. I'd say we're doing pretty good, though, for a trip that we planned.
So, the actual leisure aspect of it, I would say, is, like, not going incredible.
No, the leisure part of it's been kind of ass.
But the reason that we're here, that purpose, that's going great.
Yeah. Yeah. So fingers crossed. That's cool.
So we'll see. We'll have something released pretty soon. Because I think conceptually, this is our biggest and probably funniest video that we've done.
If it comes together like we're hoping, I have to agree.
The concept is so funny. So
Yeah. So we'll see how it actually comes together. Watch it. Just don't lose it like the other footage. That one time.
right, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that happened. That was.
We went on a vacation specifically for a purpose, and then we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris traded in his phone with the footage on it to Samsung.
What really happened is, like, I think, honestly, I had the footage on my phone, and I was running out of space, and I went to go delete stuff, and I was like, oh, I have all this backed up, and I deleted it all. Very
Yes.
realistically what could have happened.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, yeah, other than that, it's been good. I don't know. Anything specific you want to touch on? Can always make this a shorter one, too.
For normal stuff, I think, honestly, I haven't really been playing much of anything. I've just been playing more like 7 Days, the 1.0 experimental.
Right.
And it's like I said in the last one, it's an awful lot like the previous alpha.
Yeah.
It's a lot like the previous alpha. I am having a really good time with doing a Knuckles build, though.
Yeah, so at Brass Knuckles?
Yeah, so you get the tiers that you have. So, like, the game has 3 kind of tiers of weapon. You have, like, your base weapon, which is, like, made of scrap. Or, like, you know, it's made of some kind of resource that you can find very easily. So, like, your stone axe, your bone knife, things like that.
Right.
Your wooden club. And you can make them and repair them very easily. They just don't do a lot of damage. They're primitive weapons. Then, the tier above that is iron. So, like, kind of like you get I think with bows, you get a wooden bow, but it's made with, like, it's like an actual bow. And you get a hunting knife, and so with Knuckles, and then above that is steel. So with Knuckles, you get leather knuckle wraps, and then above that is iron knuckles, and then steel knuckles. And steel knuckles, with the right skills, are an insane weapon.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah. You can punch a guy once and just punch his head off.
That makes sense.
They do absurd damage. Like, a crossbow, which is like a pretty powerful mid-game weapon, ranged weapon, will do like 54 or something, like range damage, 50-something range damage. And the Knuckles will do like 48 melee damage.
Damn. That's great. And I imagine they're a lot faster.
And if you have the skills too, they're way faster.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can drink a beer. Drinking a beer,
A Coroner.
gives you plus 300% brawling damage.
God damn.
And I think it completely negates you getting stunned at all.
I feel like that's not
And-
how beer works.
And it gives you a stamina boost.
Definitely not how beer works.
So, but it only lasts like 40 seconds or a minute or something. So, when you get to like the end room of like a POI, if you're exploring an area, and you get to the end room where a bunch of zombies are, where the loot is, you can get a bunch of zombies. They're all ferals and spitters and special types and shit. So, I'll go in, I'll see the loot, trigger all the zombies, drink a beer, and go, all right, let's fucking go, and start fist fighting these zombies. On day 14, my day 14 horde, my base got fucked up. So, like, when you do a horde base, there's, like, stairs up. So the zombies have to go upstairs and then across, like, some really spindly platforms, and they'll usually fall through. And then you can fight them from your fighting position. But that got blown up because the spitters, the fat cops, that they're like fat dudes who spit at you. If you shoot them, they'll start running at you, and then they'll blow up. But this guy couldn't really get to me, so he was running in place and then blew up my staircase. So the zombies couldn't get to me, and I was like, well, it's 2 a.m. Morning starts at 4 a.m., and there's still a bunch of zombies surrounding the tower I'm standing on. So I might as well go deal with that. So I took what are they called? Fort bites, I think they're called.
That's funny.
That it's 40% damage mitigation. And then I drank a beer, jumped off my tower, and just fist fought zombies for 2 in-game hours, which isn't that long, like in real time.
Huh.
And I just ran out there. Every time, if I got hit, to the point where I was bleeding, I almost died a couple times, where I would get hit and you bleed for like a super long time. So I'd jump out and I had bandages like on deck, So it was a sight to be a sight to be seen. You saw a guy jump out of his safe tower and start punching zombies. He gets his arm bitten open. He just patches it up with a Band-Aid while he drinks a beer and starts punching zombies again.
Conceptually, really funny. Wow.
I complain about the game a lot, but I really do live for moments like that in the game. Like,
Yeah.
that is such a fun, that's such a fun part of the game, and it really exemplifies what I do like about the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, yeah, it's a good game. Got a lot of good to it, but also has a lot of bad. So it's tough when the bad seems to overshadow.
That's the thing is, it's this... I say that it's so tough to recommend. I've said it a lot before because it really is tough to recommend, because if you're just playing, if you're just blindly walking into the game, you're going to have a bad experience.
Yeah.
You really have to understand, A, how the game is put together, and B, how the meta works really at the time of the current update.
And that changes all the time.
And that changes frequently. Hopefully a lot less now that that 1.0 is coming out. But it changes a lot. So, like, for instance, when you start I think I brought this up before. When you start your save, there are skills that you can buy that are functionally useless to you.
Really?
Yes, so you can buy, like, something called Lucky Looter, which increases your loot stage by 5%. But it does not round up. So you need at least 20 loot stage to get 1 point of additional looting, which at 20 loot stage doesn't really matter. And you're not going to have a 20 loot stage until you're, like, I don't know, a few hours into your save at the very earliest. Yeah. Or if you immediately run to, like, a wasteland biome or something.
Right.
And they don't even explain what loot stage is.
Yeah, that's also tricky.
It's such, like, a technical aspect of the game that they never explain.
Yeah.
And they just have that open. It's shit like that, like, it annoys me. And they explain that, like, the skills you choose give you the magazines you want, but then don't really explain how any of the builds work.
Yeah, that's weird. So you don't even know what build to go with from the start.
Yeah.
You, like, have to just experiment and figure it out.
They kind of railroad you into doing a club and bow sort of build.
Because it's probably the easiest, right?
And it's definitely the easiest build to get started and continually use, because the wooden club does the most damage for the early game. The baseball bat does the most damage for the mid game, and the steel club does the most damage for the late game for melee weapons. But they just, like, there's just shit they don't fucking explain. And if you're gonna jump into the game blind, you're gonna have a bad time. That's why I say you have to, like, sit down and watch the content. And if you like watching the content and like the aspects of the game, you want to get into the technical aspects of the game, you kind of have to do that to play the fucking thing.
Yeah. Which
should not be the state of something that is in 1.0, is given a full release. Full release, apparently.
Yeah, it's fine when it's an alpha and you call it a sandbox and you do that, but otherwise it is a little bit unacceptable to expect your freaking players to basically do homework.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to get the people like me who are more than willing to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I digress. I'm having a good time playing it.
But still not happy about it.
And I understand that the way I talk about the game on this show specifically, I understand why you would listen to all that and go, well, why do you still play this game? You clearly hate it. But I don't. I give my criticisms of the game are things I bring forward on the show specifically. But for every criticism I have a lot of, like, really good memories playing the game. Like, a lot of fun stuff about the game. Yeah. And once you get over that learning curve, it is genuinely something very special that I've played in the indie survival crafting genre. It's definitely a standout. if that's not your jam, that's not your jam, and I understand it's really not for a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you like to play like shooters, play shooters. If you like to play RTS games, play RTS games. If you like survival crafting games and you want to do the work, which is kind of typical of survival crafting games, you'll enjoy the game.
Yeah, no, I concur with that because, like, on top of RTS games, like, I'm not a very big RTS fan. Never played XCOM beyond a couple minutes. Like, I'm not crazy about the whole RTS thing.
I don't have the patience for an RTS game.
The only one I've ever liked was Gears Tactics, and it was more so because it, like, kind of stripped away some of that RTS stuff and gave it, like, a little more fast-paced action. And I've just come to the conclusion in my adult life that, like, RTS just isn't for me. Yeah. Closest thing to RTS that is for me, quote unquote, is like The Sims. That's like the closest.
And it does suck that, like, I am friends with a bunch of people who aren't really into survival crafting games all that much.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm into many.
I have been hooked on survival crafting games since I played Minecraft for the first time. Like, I fucking love survival crafting games. There's a few that I can't get into. Like, I couldn't get into Ark ever.
You ever get into, like, Valheim or anything?
No, a little bit. Like, I own it. I played it a little bit, but I haven't really gotten super into it.
That's the Chris special right there?
No, the Chris special is, I own it, but I've never launched it.
That's true, too.
Which is true of probably 70% of my Steam library.
Well, because you got a lot of Humble Bundles, right?
Well, yeah.
That's why.
And I played, like, a shitload of Subnautica. I played a shitload of, Space Engineers. But if I have a survival crafting game, if I buy a new one, I always dump at least a few hours into it because I just love that genre so much.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that survival crafting games are truly just like the slow burn genre. They're like one of the major slow burn ones, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I like about a game like 7 Days, because it spaces out progression really well. Mm-hmm. For me, at least. Where it's like, yes, it takes a while. And I usually, if I'm gonna, like, for this, like, 1.0 save that I've done, because I'm playing on a public beta, I'm like, I just want to jump in, see what it's about, and jump out. So, like, I turned up XP multiplier and things like that, and resources gained, like, just to have, like, all right, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. But leaving it stock, like, really does give you a pretty decent pacing.
Yeah.
And the slow burn is so true because you work so hard for, like, a bunch of things and getting the skills and getting the materials and doing this and doing that and looting different buildings, going in and facing zombies to get all this loot to build your new weapon or this or that. And the result is always so satisfying because the result is, oh, I jumped from my tower in the middle of a horde night and started beating the shit out of zombies.
While drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty, yeah. Like you said, it's for those memories that you play the game.
Like, that goes hard.
Yeah. For sure. Anything else on things you've been playing, or is that the main one?
That's about all I've been playing. I started a Stardew save on my way up here, but I didn't play for very long.
Yeah, I'm in the car. Yeah, I told you this, I think on the way up, but I ended up beating Manhunt 2. That was a good time. Manhunt 1 and 2. Actually very good games when you read kind of between the lines a little bit, get into the story a little bit. Very good games, good story. I get why they're so censored and all this, but, like, come on, man.
I think it gets back to the discussion we had last time. Like, I think it's kind of asinine to censor things like that.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's censored in a way that's a little over-censored for sure. But, like,
yeah.
I guess I get it. But, like, the story has its reasons, you know? Like, Manhunt 2's story, I don't think you're ever really going to play it. Anyone who's listening probably isn't going to play it for the first time all these years later.
I think if you're going to get mad about spoilers for a game that came out, 20 years ago?
2007.
So, 17 years ago? You should have played it by now.
Yeah, especially with all the platforms it's on as well, and all the ports it's had. But, no.
Is it on more platforms than our podcast, you think?
No, it's not. Definitely not. We're on so many platforms.
Dude, I'd tell you to tell us, but you already told us.
I'll tell you again at the end. Stay tuned. But, Manhunt 2, like, the story is really cool where you're basically, you're a scientist dude, right? You're just a little science guy. And,
like, of Bill Nye fame, or?
Probably, like, more, like, government fame as opposed to,
I see.
As opposed to, like, real Bill Nye level stardom. So basically, you're just kind of like this dude. You're a scientist, and you're trying to work on a project to implant someone else's personality into a brain to like coexist essentially. And you volunteer because you need money, and you have your wife and your kids. You volunteer essentially to be a test subject to get the personality implanted. Your guy's name is Daniel, and he gets the personality of Leo implanted. Well, turns out Leo was a serial killer. So
interesting.
There becomes this part where Daniel thinks he's seeing Leo as like a friend, and he's just been living with this dude. He's been buddy, but it turns out it's really just Leo taking over his body, and basically tricking him. So like he murders his own family, goes on the run, and all this crazy stuff, and it's finally all culminates to like one specific scene where Leo's doing something heinous. And then all of a sudden, it's like, why is he talking with Daniel's voice? And then you find out, like, oh, shit, it's the same guy. He just has basically split personality at the moment. And then, it culminates in, like, the scientists that have been hunting you for the whole game that you've been murdering being like, yo, buddy, do you not remember any of this? Oh, you don't? Here's the let me catch you up to speed on what's happened. And you kind of have to fight for your body back, essentially. So it's got a pretty cool undertone.
It reminds me of that one game where you're with your best friend and you're robbing these rich assholes of this little circuit board card, and the job goes very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually stick the little circuit chip card in your head.
Oh, what a punk, dude.
And it turns out it has the personality of a dead terrorist on it.
Weird.
And he tries to take over your body.
Weird, dude. That's like cybernetically crazy.
Dude, it's definitely got like a futuristic sort of vibe. Yeah. Like it's like one of those games where like you can almost say it's like a cyber sort of aesthetic,
What year does it take place in?
I think sometime in the 2070s, the late 21st century, perhaps.
So you're kind of like a punk in a cyber world in the 2070s?
Yeah, something like that.
Damn, that sounds like a cool game. We should play that, actually. I bet, honestly.
I think it's got that one guy. I think it's got that one guy from the 3D animated SpongeBob movie in it.
3D. Who's that? Which guy is that?
That one guy. He's in it as a cameo.
Talking about David Hasselhoff?
No, Keanu Reeves.
How is he in?
He was in the 3D animated SpongeBob movie.
Like the original?
No.
What's the 3D one?
The one that came out in like 2016 or 17.
Oh, I've never seen that one. We should watch that.
He's like a head in a barrel or some shit. I was trying to think of like the most obscure Keanu Reeves role.
Instead of the guy from The Matrix,
yeah,
or John Wick.
I couldn't say it's the guy from the John Wick or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the guy that plays Keanu Reeves in real life.
It's the guy who eats the cupcake outside the bakery on his birthday. That guy. That guy. You see him all the time. Keanu Reeves actually the GOAT. But now that you actually kind of point out that like direct sort of vibe, I mean, I know that trope has been done in many forms of media, but I wonder if there's any inspiration.
Very similar.
I wonder if there's any form of like inspiration that possibly came from like a Manhunt-esque thing, because obviously it's what 15 years younger or 13 years younger.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk. So
it's possible. I don't know how much, because I know Cyberpunk 2077 takes from Cyberpunk 2020, the tabletop game.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of that is from the tabletop game. I know like Adam Smasher is there, but I don't know how much of the tabletop game is in the video game.
Yeah, it's sort of the headcanon or whatever, or the canon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Manhunt 2, really good game. I'm still up in the air about which one I like more. I think the vibes in one were like kind of cooler because it was more stealth-based. You were outnumbered. It was kind of scary. But then Manhunt 2, it's like you become that serial killer, Like, so you just become like a fucking fiend.
Right.
You just get guns really early. Like Manhunt 1, it was like, oh my... Like, I remember when they revealed the gun in Manhunt 1, I was like, I have a fucking gun now?
There's guns in this game?
I was like, I remember being like, this is a shooter now? And Manhunt 2 is kind of like, yeah, here's how you do an execution. Here's how to do it with a fire axe to chop a head off, to use it to like get into a secret bunker. Also, here's a 12 gauge. Go to town.
Right.
And then you just start eviscerating people. So...
almost... Thinking on the censorship and moral panic of it makes me think a lot about The game Hatred that came out.
Oh my God,
in
yeah.
like 2015.
Yeah.
Which was, for those who don't know, Hatred
Was fun.
is a video game. It is a wave shooter, where basically you play as a mass shooter.
Yeah. Essentially.
It's not. You're not playing any You're not playing through a real incident that happened.
And you're not like in a mall.
You're not like
or
a
something.
real guy,
Yeah.
but like you are just like that is what it is. It's a wave shooter, but you're shooting innocent people.
Yeah, civilians. And cops.
It's not like to the same level where like it sounds like Manhunt's like, oh, it has actually like a really good story and this and that, and like people kind of overlooked the story and the reason that the violence was there. Hatred's just kind of violent for the sake of being violent.
For the sake of shock factor, yeah.
Which is like, I think the worst kind of violence. Like it's the reason I had so many qualms with like Cannibal Holocaust when we watch it. It was like shock for the sake of shock.
It wasn't additive to the story, really.
Yeah, like I understand it's like, oh, well, the main group of people that are there suck ass, so they're supposed to get killed and you're supposed to not root for them. I'm like, great. But like you didn't have to kill a real animal several times in that movie.
Yeah.
That doesn't add anything. I don't think
Or,
there's
like,
a reason
yeah.
for any of that.
Yeah, no need.
So like that's kind of the worst sort of like, edginess for me. It's like edginess for the sake of being edgy rather than adding something to
Yeah, because believe it or not, I mean, there's sort of like a message or a tone to be shown.
I'm gonna have a microphone, but I'm gonna go get a water because my throat is dry.
Damn, bro, fits that. But there's a thing to be had when it comes to violence. Like, it's bad. It's not good. Violence is rarely ever good. But in terms of telling a story or like showing the severity of certain actions and outcomes, like, it's good. It's a good storyteller because shock is a good emotion to tap into when you're trying to get someone to understand something.
You know where the violence really does well in games is bringing it back to survival crafting in the forest and Sons of the Forest. That game is very violent.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can dismember people and eat them and whatever. And it serves such a great narrative purpose in the story because it's like, this is what this island and this situation has done to you.
You were just a guy.
Look at what you had to do to survive this place.
Yeah.
And
look at what the other cannibals had to do.
Yeah, it's down to, okay, yeah, you're being chased down by cannibals, but you're the real monster here.
Why are they cannibals?
It
poses that question.
That has to do to the lore.
Yeah.
That has to do with the artifact that's on the island.
Right.
That fucks with the brains of the people who are there. But you're, as far as you know, all there.
Yeah.
And look what you've become.
Yeah. You've become the thing you once hated.
Yeah. So I think that's where it's very useful.
Yeah.
But, violence, like I said, violence for the sake of violence is like fucking, it's the worst sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, because like in the terms of Manhunt, like they both have that undertone. So like in Manhunt 1, you're a prisoner who was put on death row, but the government allows people to pay to take death row prisoners, fake their death, and put them into this city called Carcer City where they have to survive trials or whatever. And that's what you do. You just kind of fight your way. You do heinous things to survive, to ensure your own freedom, and then ultimately you go after the big bad who's been running the show or whatever. And I mean show literally because it's a snuff film is what it is.
It's kind of like that one TV show with the what's it called, like Octopus Party or something, where the guy gets invited to like this series of short games, and there's a huge cash prize, but the twist is they get killed for real actually when they lose in the game.
What show was that?
Squid Games.
Oh, Squid Games. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that show. Season 2 should be coming out at some point.
Is it?
Yeah, should be.
I liked season 1. I thought it was alright.
It was a fun time.
It wasn't like it was no Breaking Bad, but it wasn't like it wasn't a bad watch.
No, it wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't bad.
I've watched worse things.
Many worse things. But yeah, no, it's got that same vibe, exactly. Like, in this case, you already are kind of a bad guy on death row, and that, you're people struggling for money, but, like, it's the same vibe where you get put into this thing that you kind of don't want to be in. Turns out worse than it is or whatever, and you just kind of fight your way out of it. And then Manhunt 2, I was kind of shocked in a way at how they kept it going in a way that like kept it true to the IP, but made it fresh. Like I didn't know what going into it, like what to expect. I saw that there was like a psychiatric design to the bots art and stuff. It looked like someone's psychiatric form, so I'm like, okay, you're clearly meant to be something to do with crazy people, but like I thought it was a snuff film in like an asylum, like an Outlast, so to speak.
Right.
But it ended up not being that at all. Like I said, it had a whole plot with like government agencies and stuff. Like it turned into like a really interesting story that made it still feel connected, but very different. Even in terms of gameplay, it's funny because Manhunt 1 was 2001 and Manhunt 2 was 2007, and Manhunt 2 controlled so much like a GTA, like down to the sprint button and everything. Like it controlled very much like GTA 3, aiming and everything. It's kind of crazy. So
I mean, that tracks. That was, obviously same people.
Yeah. So good game though. I mean, I recommend it if you can handle a little gore. If not, Manhunt 2 is not very gory on the PS2 unless you break it like I did because it's all censored. So
I think honestly, if you can't handle PS2 era gore, go die. That's all I have for you.
Let's see, any comment on that one? I know you hate Manhunt's gore. She's sleeping?
I think so.
There's no way. She must have earbuds in. There's no shot she's sleeping at this time of day.
At this hour.
She's
localized
never,
solely in your room.
She's never been a napper. I'm surprised.
I used to be big into like taking a fat nap, but you know how like normally, because I was looking into this one day. Normally, when people take a nap, they will take a nap for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I would take a nap for like 7 hours.
I think that's called sleep.
Well, yeah, but then I would go to bed. Listen.
Oh my God.
In high school, I wasn't exactly doing well.
I remember, yeah. I remember.
I would go home, and if I had the time, I would take a nap. I get home like maybe around like 4, and I would sleep from like 4 to 8, and then I would like eat something, and then I'm like, I don't know what else to do, and then I would just go back to bed.
Yeah, it was a rough time. Had a lot going on. That's true.
So,
but look where you get to be now. You get to be in an undisclosed hotel.
I get to be in an undisclosed location
with your boy,
with my pal,
with a buddy,
Jordan.
Yeah, they're making podcasts for like 4 listeners. So,
dude, beyond my wildest dreams.
Honestly, major success over here.
Imagine if we were speaking to an audience of 4 people right now.
That'd be crazy.
That would be kind of crazy. That would be like physically in the room. Like, damn.
That's kind of cool.
That's kind of a crazy turnout.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy turnout for us. She did have an earbud in. I knew it.
You think
Hey, how do you feel about Manhunt 2's gore?
It's disgusting.
Does it gross you out?
Yes.
You heard it here, folks. I'm gonna have to crank that to 485 decibels, but it grosses her out.
I refer you to my previous comment.
You should go die, according to Chris.
That was my previous comment, was go die. If you can't handle PS2 era gore, my comment was go die.
Well, it depends if you have it decoded or not.
Yeah, no, uncensored.
Decoded is disgusting. Yeah, uncensored, whatever.
Yeah.
But the other way, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, I was talking about how I broke it, and then Chris made the comment of like people should die if they can't handle it. I said, well, you should ask Letsy, and then we tried to ask you, but we thought you were sleeping, so then we talked about pushing you out the window.
Oh, no, me, I don't sleep.
That's what I said. Yeah.
In fairness, I definitely was a bit adventurous on the internet when I was younger.
I'm just saying.
I definitely watched a lot of real people die actual deaths.
Yes, I'm just saying. One of my most vivid early internet days for me was the first time I saw ISIS decapitate someone.
Damn.
I think we just had an intruder. For those not affiliated with that sound, that was a pig.
It was a Minecraft pig.
Yeah, he came flying towards us.
But
yeah, that's all I got on Manhunt.
Yeah, I definitely, maybe I'm jaded because like I've definitely, I've ran the gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
I know how it is. All 20 levels, didn't gag once. I can't handle like real life gore now though.
Really?
I could watch it, but like I don't go out of my way to, and I don't like to.
I was actually gonna say to you, do you remember the early internet days where that was actually a thing? Like there was websites that were just like real gore videos.
Run the gauntlet, dude.
Yeah.
That was what I would do. You run the gauntlet.
That was crazy.
Actually, there was a level. There's 20 levels to run the gauntlet. They get worse each level. There's like an earlier level that is genuinely one of the funniest fucking videos I've ever seen.
Which one?
It's a video of a guy. You may have seen this. He's trying to do a magic trick and demonstrate a magic trick that he's doing. He's got 4 styrofoam cups covering something.
Yeah. Is it
And
like
he spins the table around. And he goes, well, through my magic selection, I know that there should be no knife under this one. He slams his hand down, and a knife goes clear through his hand.
I think that, yeah, okay.
And he looks at it. It's like a cartoon. He looks at it, and he goes, ah! And then it hard cuts to him with the bandage on his hand. He's like, well, I did it wrong. Like, this is fucking funny, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have seen that one.
But, you know, you get to watch that, and then, like, a few videos later, you get to watch, like, an actual, real, not fun murder.
Yes, and like close up. Yeah.
Like, close up, like, the dudes who are doing the murdering are holding the cameras.
Yeah. No, I think, so for gore for me, I don't think I get grossed out anymore. Well, I never did, but I don't think I get grossed out. But what happens now is I feel like as I've gotten older, I've come to more terms about my mortality. So like when I see things that could happen to me, like someone getting jumped on the street or something, that disturbs me. Not the gory part of it, but just the thought of like someone getting, you know, sucker punched or something on the sidewalk. Like that gets me more. That'll get me more so? Like, I don't like that.
That shit doesn't bother me too much. Like, I could watch death from a distance. Like, I could watch someone from an outside perspective. I could watch like a car accident happen. I'm like, oh, that person's probably dead.
Yeah, yeah.
And be like not really affected by it. But like the proper gore aspect of it, where like in one of those videos, a guy like kind of like flips. There's one where a guy like flips off a pier, and he didn't quite jump far enough, and he does like a flip, and he smacks the front of his face on like the rocks, and he looked like a Halo Elite. His head was split into 4 pieces.
I think I have seen that one.
And he was alive.
Was that on the Gauntlet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have seen that.
I was like, that's the sort of shit I can't handle.
That one I will say.
Where I'm like, I don't want, like, not that I can't handle where I'm like, ew. I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, no,
This just makes me uncomfortable.
I can feel that. No, for me, it's more of like the suspension of disbelief. Like, I ain't gonna be backflipping off a pier. But like when it's someone like at a gas station pumping gas and they get jumped and get the shit kicked out of them, I'm like, oh yeah, that could be me.
Or like a video of a guy where I've seen one where a guy was in a gas station, and this is more recent. Like, this isn't really a gory video because it like all cuts out. But he's in a gas station or like a smoke shop or something, and there was a gas leak in the smoke shop. So he take a cigarette out, and he lights the cigarette, and the whole shop goes up in flames.
Holy shit! Yeah, I mean that's what happens, I guess.
And you know, that sort of thing. I can see why something like that would get you, because I'm like, yeah, this could conceivably happen.
Yeah,
I could be like, you know, and I think it was in like, it took place in like India. I don't know if they have those same regulations we do, where they like natural gas has to have an
odor,
a putrine type thing in it.
Yeah,
like it has to have something in it to make you so you can smell the gas, because otherwise you can't.
Yeah, you ever seen the one where the guy drops a cigarette down a little hole in the ground?
And the whole street blows up?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild.
That is scary, bro.
I feel like that's what gets me more. Maybe that's the root of it, is other people's negligence affecting me. That's what'll get me more, like, not nervous, but like I don't like that, you know?
Fair. I think there was like, you didn't have to throw a cigarette butt down a little hole in the street.
Yeah, like, because that guy has smooth brain syndrome, someone could have died. I don't know if anyone did in that clip. I mean, maybe he did, but like, someone could have died. A child in a car, or a whole car, or whatever. Like, that's what gets me more, I think, is more that down to earth, like, this could have been me.
A piece of cement from that flew up and triggered like a Rube Goldberg machine that was like, it knocked over a bunch of dominoes and then like hit like a little lever with like a ball at the end that hit like a seesaw type thing that launched
A Despicable Me minion.
launched a Despicable Me minion across the city, actually. It landed directly in front of a child on top of a landmine that was perfectly placed there.
But it didn't trigger the landmine.
But the kid grabbed the minion and it triggered the landmine, blew up the kid. And then
the kid's arm flew off.
The pieces of the kid flew around, and the kid's arm flew off and actually triggered another Rube Goldberg machine. And then it just kept going until 50,000, 60,000 people dead. Yeah. So many Rube Goldberg machines. They had like, that has to exist, right? Like a DC villain who kills people with really elaborate contraptions.
That has to be.
Really, really elaborate.
Probably the Joker, no?
Does he have like a Rube Goldberg type? I'm talking about specifically Rube Goldberg machines.
I think he's pretty close. Like he might not be.
I want a Mousetrap ass villain. Have you ever played the board game Mousetrap?
Yeah.
Where you have to assemble all these little dumbass pieces.
Yeah. I want like chattering teeth that climb and walk across a ledge and fall into a glass of water.
I want a villain that spends like 1,000+ hours concocting the most elaborate machine you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Just to kill somebody.
Yeah.
He's like, I think Batman will like this one, and it's just the only thing that happens is Batman lands in this guy's like compound, and around him he just hears thousands of dominoes start falling.
And
oh fuck. And then all of a sudden it triggers a bunch of like whimsical machinery. He tries to like dodge different attacks, and at the end like a fucking like battle axe swings around and tries and like chops his head off or whatever.
That would go kind of crazy. Yeah. That would be really funny.
If not, I just created that idea. I'm copywriting it right now. I'm actually walking down to the copyright office.
Yeah.
I'm currently at the copyright office. That's actually the undisclosed
That's
location.
what this whole trip was for.
I'm actually copywriting that specific idea.
Yeah. But, all right. Yeah, that's all I got.
I think we're done here.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a good time.
That was a good undisclosed location podcast.
Yeah.
But Jordan!
Yeah?
Remind the people.
So, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify both have the video platform. So also, email us, contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send your comments, questions, concerns, death threats, and, most importantly, Little Kitty, Bid City, photo mode, and
Please.
this Instagram tip top. So
We'll be there eventually.
we will or we won't. We're doing this, okay? This is cool.
Will or we won't. This is a cool project, okay? Just cut us some slack, man.
I know we've had nothing but L's, but this may be a W.
We're gonna exit this hotel room and explode immediately.
I guess then I don't really have to worry about it, do I?
Fair point.
Okay, bye.